By the end of today, there will be no more unbeaten teams in the NFL. And I'll tell you,
it's a good time to look at those division races for the playoffs, and on from there to Super Bowl 19 out at Stanford. Now, the battles for leadership in the NFC East and Central are still wide open. And, Jimmy, of course, you touted this on the Bears when the season began. Are you sticking with them?
You darn tootin' I'm sticking with them. But I'll tell you one thing, that Tampa Bay team is pretty good. If they hadn't lost Green and Cecil Johnson at linebackers, they would have really given this division a real hard time.
Well, the NFC East, no question in my mind, the Washington Redskins, they've won their last 5, and Theismann, after talking to him last week, said all those problems are behind them. But you were in St. Louis, and I know you feel differently.
You know, Phyllis, I've been picking St. Louis as an upset-making team and a dark horse all year long. They're averaging over 30 points a game right now, and I think they could knock off the Redskins. Jimmy often said, in order to beat the Redskins, you have to go deep. And they have a guy in Roy Green who can get deep in a hurry.
Looking over at the NFC West, it's been all San Francisco since the opening weeks of the season, and the 49ers still enjoy a comfortable 2-game lead. But they cannot entirely relax because the Los Angeles Rams, after a slow start, have won 3 of their last 4. They've done it behind their backup quarterback, Jeff Kemp. Now, since taking over the starting spot 4 weeks ago, Kemp has thrown 81 passes without an interception. Now, in the meantime, Vince Ferragamo, who lost the job to Kemp when he suffered a broken finger, is almost healed and will start working out next week. So here we go again, another quarterback controversy brewing on the Rams, although Vince is the first to concede that Kemp has been playing very well.
Jeff Kemp's been doing a great job at quarterback, and he has been leading the team, and we've been winning with him in there, and it's, you know, to speak of controversy, really Jeff is leading the team right now. I'm hurt, and I can't even suit up to play, so it's, you know, it's a little speculation on everybody's part, and it's, you know, create a little controversy, a little stirring up around Ram camp, but I think we can all work with the situation.
Well, of course, with us now live is Jeff Kemp, and tomorrow night you've got the Atlanta Falcons. And, Jeff, I would imagine you're trying to put that controversy aside right now, just put that on hold, right?
Well, Brent, I really don't think that the controversy is something that I need to think about. Certainly, I'm worried about playing the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm concentrating on that. I think Coach Robinson will make the right decision when the time comes, and for me, the simplest thing is just to keep playing well.
Jeff, you know, you came out of the Ivy League. You were a star at Dartmouth, and there's a prejudice that Ivy League quarterbacks are not going to step in and tear up NFL defenses. How have you found it going from Dartmouth to the Rams and leading them to these succession of victories? Has it been that different?
Well, obviously it's different than Dartmouth, but I feel very comfortable playing, and I've been planning on this and working hard towards getting my chance to play for quite a while, and it feels very natural, so I'm enjoying it. Obviously, it's really fun, but it really isn't that different than Dartmouth.
How about your father's reaction? A former NFL quarterback and now a congressman. He stayed away from pro football for a number of years.
He's really excited. You know, he's been out of it for about 14 years and so into his politics that now he's really being able to get excited about football again now that I'm playing. And he's been a big encouragement to me.
Jeff, your most impressive stat is avoiding the interception. Is that what you're concentrating on, trying not to throw into double coverage, being careful out there?
Well, certainly that's important. We're also trying to make plays, and I think what it involves is judgment. You've got to decide when you can take a risk and when it's worthwhile, and then again when you should not force the ball into coverage and just throw it away or be safe with the ball.
All right, Jeff, thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Great to see an intelligent quarterback like that. Now, the winless Houston Oilers have the embarrassing distinction of being the worst team in the NFL. Now, that's a far cry from 5 years ago when the Oilers made it to their second straight AFC championship game. Coach Bum Phillips promised that the next season, Houston would go all the way to the Super Bowl.
Next year, we're going to kick the son of in.
But the Oilers never did kick that door in. And since 1981, when Phillips was fired, they have been consistent losers. This year, a new quarterback from Canada, Warren Moon, was brought in.
In order for a quarterback to be good, you know, the other people around him have to be doing well, too. And I think our team has made some big strides the last couple of weeks as far as playing together. And because of that, you'll probably see Warren Moon play a little better.
Another import from Canada is their head coach, Hugh Campbell. But when Earl Campbell got off to a slow start, he too was traded.
I'll be the first one to tell you it's hard for any running back to run a football without any blocking.
Some observers think the problem is not ability so much as leadership, and that ever since Bum's departure, no Houston coach has provided any.
Well, they need a people coach or a football coach right now is something the Oilers are probably having to think about.
Each coach has to kind of be his own self, and you can't copy or pattern after somebody else.
The question is, will the Oilers beat anybody this season?
I don't think we're bad enough to go 0-16.
But they could be bad enough to go 0-8. Cardinals and Redskins played for a share of first place back in 1975. I'm sure the Greek still remembers it. Mel Gray catching that ball. The Skins knock it loose. They give him a touchdown. George Allen will never forget that play, Jimmy.
No, I'm sure he won't. But I'll tell you one thing. This is a super ball game. Riggins does a great job of running and controlling the ball. You know what's so great about the Redskins, man? Is they stay on the field so long with the offense that the defense gets well rested. So when they come on there, I mean, Butts and company are ready to roll. And Butts has been playing some kind of super ball. I tell you, though, that Lomax to Green, as you all said early, is a super combination. No question about it. I'm going to go with the Redskins in a very light way, like a field goal.
All right. How about the Giants over at Philadelphia? The Eagles have put a couple of victories together.
You know, that's true, but they didn't beat anybody. And Jaworski's got a bad rib, and if he gets hit under that flap, he's going to have a problem. I tell you, the Giants have been playing decent football. What they did against Atlanta last week was absolutely not good. It was absolutely marvelous. I think they will do it again. Poor Parcells keeps winning. He's 4-3, and yet the ownership is looking at another coach.
All right, Jimmy, how about the Bears at Tampa Bay? The Bucks are coming.
Boy, they are. They're a good ball club. Listen, the only problem with Tampa, I mean, they've lost Green and they've lost their other linebacker, Camel. And I tell you something, that is bad. That's going to hurt them. The Bears played a better ball game against St. Louis last week. Remember, they had 2 fumbles inside the 20. I'm sticking with the Bears.
All right, Jimmy, how about Miami at New England? The Dolphins still unbeaten. Can they keep it up?
Well, they were unbeaten until today, Brent.
Upset special coming here.
This is the upset of the day, I hope. I mean, I hope I'm right. The thing about it is Marino has lost his short receivers. They're hurting. I mean, Miami's hurting a lot with their short receivers. And you know what? They've lost 7 out of 8 games up there. So I'm going to say that it's 8 out of 9. I'm going with New England.
All right, Jimmy, you mentioned Lomax and Green. Irv Cross was in St. Louis to see him, and he'll have that
this season for the first time in nearly a decade. And true to their name, the Cardinals are winning through the air, which is also how they did it in years past when they were flying high.
Veteran St. Louis fans have fond memories of this passing combination. Charlie Johnson to Bobby Joe Conrad. And later, the Cardinals flew to victory on the passes of Jim Hart to Mel Gray. 4 meal tickets that put the food on the Cardinal table.
Those are some of the great passing combinations of the past. But today here in St. Louis, they're serving up a new dish called Lomax to Green. A duo opponents are finding hard to swallow.
Lomax to Green has emerged as the most potent passing combination in the NFC this season. And both men are generous in their praise of each other.
The guy is on the ball, literally. He makes such fine adjustments to my throws. Throw behind him, he has good ability to come back and catch it. And then again, everybody knows about his speed. I've never seen a guy accelerate the way he can accelerate to a ball. I could overthrow him by 10, 20 yards, and I know I overthrew him. He goes and gets it.
Neil has brought me from a mediocre wide receiver to now, I think, a threat, or I think the teams have to come in now and say that, hey, in order for us to minimize St. Louis's efforts, we're going to have to shut down Roy Green.
They really work closely together. They're close friends. And when you have that kind of thing going for yourself, it really helps out. They really know what the other guy's going to do.
Laid out there for him?
Yeah, a little away from him.
Okay, yeah. Going towards more of the hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lomax is the team leader on the field every Sunday. But when the dinner bell rings during the week, Neil is happy to eat what's served to him. A bachelor, Lomax dines once a week with Green and his family, a touch of togetherness that strengthens their on-the-field relationship.
I think it was more or less a scheme for my wife. Early in the year, I don't think I was catching a whole lot of balls, and she made a deal with Neil that she would feed him twice a year if he kind of threw me 3 extra balls.
I enjoy Roy, especially because his wife's such a great cook. And I'll go over to his house once a week just for a free meal. So he likes that because he thinks he's going to get more balls, but that's not the case.
As they prepare for this week's big game, both Lomax and Green are aware of the special chemistry they share.
I think there's a nonverbal rapport that we have on the field, especially when I kind of look to Roy and I'll audible out. I can go either way with the audible. I'll kind of look over there and he just kind of, either a nod or a little twinkle in his eye tells me that he wants this ball. And you don't give me the ball, I'm going to kill you.
I note that if there's any minute opportunity for Neil to throw a ball or to get it in there, that he's going to do it. And as a receiver, when you know that your quarterback has that kind of confidence in you, it just makes you that much
better receiver.
Lomax and Green. Like good old-fashioned home cooking, they're tough to beat.
From what I can see watching the Cardinals practice, they expect to challenge the Redskins' right cornerback Vernon Dean early with deep passes. But everybody talks so much about the passing game, Brent. The Cardinals also have one of the most effective running games in the league, averaging 4.8 yards a carry.
The way to a quarterback's arm is through his stomach, eh?
But every now and then, one comes along with so much natural talent and savvy that he becomes a dominant force in his first or second season. Joe Namath is probably the most celebrated example of that. And among today's quarterbacks, the young man with the golden arm is Miami sophomore sensation, Dan Marino.
Couldn't perform any better than what Dan Marino has performed in his rookie year here for us, and then going into his second year. He's just been outstanding.
He's an up-and-coming superstar in the league. It's just a matter of him, keeping everything into perspective.
Marino will help us lead us to the promised land.
We're talking serious hyperbole. We're talking 20 touchdown passes in 7 games. We're talking undefeated Dolphins. We're talking future perfect.
I think everybody would love to go to the Super Bowl, and that's something that I would really love to have an opportunity to do. And, maybe more than once even.
Now we're getting greedy.
Okay. But who knows?
And they said whatever time they can get you, just for 10 minutes.
He's 23, rich, single, fabulously successful. And more often than not, his idea of a big night on the town is a casual dinner with a teammate like Jim Cephalo. On days off, his attention turns to golf. His style could be called brash, arrogant, or... Do you think you're cocky?
No.
Do you think you're overly confident?
No, I wouldn't say I'm overly confident, but I'd say I'm confident.
Back in the early 70s, the Dolphins were a bunch of no-names that helped put Miami on the map. A couple of Super Bowl titles could do that. The city has grown remarkably since then, and now maybe it's even big enough to provide a dramatic setting for the game's newest sensation, quarterback Dan Marino, the Dolphins' glamour boy. He attends movie premieres, tools around in a flashy Corvette, does commercials, models clothes. If you think he's in charge of his life off the field, you should see him on it.
385! He's got a lot of spirit and spunk about him. He's one of the guys, when he makes a big play, he goes up there to clap the guy in the helmet or, jump up and down with him. He's not a guy who's nonchalant, just walks up the field and says, oh, it's a day's work.
For Marino, the game isn't a job. It's a pleasure. Practice, now that's work. Something this golden boy must endure, like punching a time clock. On Sundays, he knocks out opponents with his Midas touch that brings back memories of Joe Namath.
Well, Namath had that great quick release and that strong, accurate arm. I think that Marino falls along those lines.
A lot of people like to compare him to Joe Namath. I don't think he's that type where he's out all the time, and, he gets out occasionally with the guys and, ties one on. But, I know he's got a lot of pride in his work.
Who's the best quarterback in the NFL?
You would want me to say me, right?
Joe Theismann.
Joe Theismann? Well, he's not going to say Joe Theismann. He's got a lot of confidence, as you can see. No question he's mastered his talents, Brent, on the field. He's a superb quarterback. But there's a lot that goes along, a lot of pressure with being a superstar, and he's got to grow up a little bit and learning to deal with all that.
All right, the NFL Today continues on CBS in just a moment. We met the demon barber of Fleet Street. And from Rossini's classic opera, we know about Figaro, the barber of Seville. And now in professional football, when the Cardinals want their wings clipped, they turn to one of their own, running back Willard Harrell, the barber of St. Louis.
There have been some bizarre hairstyles in the NFL over the years, but Harrell, he prefers a more orthodox approach.
When I was a young kid, my father used to let me experiment with his head, and I've done it practically all my life. And to me, cutting hair, I can do my own thing. I can create something, and on the football field, if I make a move, I'm being creative there. So, I relate it like that.
Some of Willard's teammates say they're nervous about those close shaves.
I still got both ears, but I did have some stitches. And no, he's done real well. He's never made a mistake, and I'm real pleased with all he's done.
They always come up and they say, well, God, you made that big gash in his head. Why did you cut him like that? But the guys, they trust me.
So who is Willard's most difficult customer? Floyd Peters.
The guys that don't have much hair, they're really sticklers to work with. You know, they always say, ooh, don't touch that. Or, ooh, you know, no, don't take too much off. And you have to be really careful about preservation, you know.
That's not bad, Irv. You got a free meal over there at the Grange. You get a free haircut from Harold. No wonder you like to go in there. Listen, take a nice tight shot of this clock, everybody, here that we've got.
4 o'clock.
We want to present these with Phyllis. Make sure you wake up nice and early tomorrow morning. She's pinch hitting on the CBS Morning News.
I'm calling you and you
Not
and
at
you.
4 o'clock in the morning.
No, you're going to get up and watch me. I am not kidding. All three of you. And
Maybe I'll set my VHS and watch you about noon. We'll see you at halftime with all the scores and updates coming up. We hope you've enjoyed the NFL Today on CBS.